I am a taxpayer of the state of Tennessee.
That's right.
Are you?
That's right. That's right. It even goes as far, I'll even call out the so-called people, the residents of Tennessee, that want to protest against your alienable rights. So they've got no clue what the Constitution states. They've moved here from the blue places, and they want to continue that here in this state. And it's not of God. Let's put it that way. It's all demonic.
Right. That's right. Well, Jim, I appreciate you so much going up there today. You talked with some legislators. You kind of fill us in a little bit on what happened with the legislators today.
Each one of them I spoke with went into the first thing. I also prayed with them all, so that was primary because they needed to know that there's people praying for them, but they also remember me. But part of what we discussed was Bill Lee. I said people want to know why, although the governor can call under the Constitution a special session, what are his extraordinary circumstances? And each one of them said he has none. I said, so what he did was call an illegal session. They all nodded yes. So.
Well, we had Paige Wally tell us that himself. He didn't call it an illegal session, but he told us on the radio last week that what Bill Lee has done is really not in the Constitution for him to call.
That is correct. And so when I said, okay, well, so now he can waste the taxpayers' money on something that was nothing more than about his feelings and had nothing to do with Constitution, the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, and being, extraordinary circumstances. And I said, so why won't you just gavel out? Basically, just call to close the session. And they answered me with a great answer. They said, there are two reasons. First of all, if we do that, the governor can call us back in 3 days.
Right.
And then if he does that, he'll waste more money because we got to set it all up again. So they said the speaker has put some provisions in place to where over in Cordell Hall there can be and I'm not going to say the limit on the radio, but there's a limit they're going to place on the floor for people that can be on that floor, including staff. So that'll keep out a lot of the people that don't need to be there. But in addition, they were talking about if they have the session, which is basically they could gavel out, but they said what this gives them the opportunity is to stand up against the left end and the governor himself and call him on the rug. Otherwise, they couldn't do that. So they said they're going to use this for the tool that's been handed them and use it firmly.
Well, and that's what we heard too, Jim. We greatly appreciate you calling in and giving us this information, this update information on what's going on, what's happening. Lawrence County, we are here letting you know right now what's going on in our state capitol with this special session. We had our good friend Jim Barth on the ground with us, and please go look up Restore Liberty. Tell us where they can find you at, Jim.
All right, people go and put in their web browser and put in restore-liberty.org. We are a national organization, but we're spread across Tennessee pretty well. That's what my function is as the state director. But restore-liberty.org and see what we're about and take a look at our endorsements from the state.
Man, buddy, thank you so much, and look forward to talking with you tomorrow.
Excellent. Same
God
here.
bless you,
Have a
Jim.
great evening. Safe.
All right, bye.
Well, so we already know that there are going to be protesters from the left already there. We're not surprised. Is anyone surprised they're shouting cowards in the hallway? That's cute.
Well,
Shouting cowards.
the funny thing is though, you use the name of Christ and see how fast those demon creatures sit down.
Oh, it's.
I mean, if you're scared, don't be scared. Go there. I mean, this is your state. These are your rights. Do not let people bust in by George Soros and Gavin Newsom tell you what you're going to do and what they're going to do in Tennessee. Because I'm telling you, we got a governor that's gone rogue.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. You know, Bill Lee, and I'm sure you're aware of this, Brandon, is part of this National Governors Association.
Yep.
And just for everybody out there, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what the National Governors Association is. It's made up of 10 governors. You have 5 Republican governors, you have 5 Democratic governors that make this National Governors Association up. And do you know who they're appointed by, Brandon?
I got a feeling you're fixing to tell us.
It's good old Joe Biden himself.
Well, Sleepy Joe.
Well, you know, let's go Brandon. And I'm not a play on your name, Brandon, but you know, let's go Brandon, baby.
Yeah.
But that guy. So, what does that tell you when we have people on the left that's on this board like Gretchen Whitmer? You know, that's the wicked witch of Michigan that's on there. And I'm going to tell you something. Bill Lee might be the most conservative governor on there, but I didn't see Ron DeSantis on there. I didn't see Governor Abbott on there.
Kristi Noem.
Kristi Noem wasn't on there. I didn't see these good constitutional governors that we have. They're not on this list. It's these wishy-washy people that are governors. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't think for a minute, could you, unless God himself told you to do it, accept anything that Joe Biden asked you to do?
No. I don't see myself doing anything that Joe Biden would ever request me to do. I don't see Joe Biden ever giving me a request, first off.
Well, I don't either. But see, I'm going to tell you that to me speaks volumes, because my father always told me you are known by the company you keep.
Yep.
And these are the people that Bill Lee's keeping company with.
Sure.
And Joe Biden is so comfortable with Bill Lee that he wants to put him on this National Governors Association.
When was this list formed? Do you have a date on when this was all?
Oh, this has been going back since the mid-2000s. I actually think Obama started it in 2008, but I'm not 100% positive on it. I went back and I looked and at this earlier, the memberships, and let me see, I can tell you, it actually started in 2010.
Really?
Yeah. So 2010, or at least that's what it's given me here, is 2010 is when this started. So yes, it did start underneath the Obama administration. And I'm going to tell you something. If you look year to year at the governors that are on this, I didn't see any governors that I thought of as being good constitutional governors that are on this list. And I'll tell you what's else is kind of funny is Bill Haslam made that list in 2014, 2015, and 2006 and 17, not
Sure.
16, but 2017. You know, Bill Haslam made that list too, and you know, I think a lot of us that are very conservative people, we understand that Bill Haslam has not been our friend to conservatism.
No, we've not had a conservative governor in a long time. It's time for a new governor in the state of Tennessee, and I'm looking forward to a new election. I know I'm talking about a governor election probably a little bit in advance, but I think that Bill Lee needs to go. I'm ready for him to go back to work on HVAC units and enjoy his governor retirement.
Yeah, he definitely needs to go do what he knows how to do, and that is work on plumbing and work on AC units. He darn sure doesn't know how to govern, and he doesn't know how to keep our state safe. I'm just telling you, for him, to have the Republican Party of Tennessee unanimously vote and send this man a resolution, do not have this special session. And what does he do 3 days later? He basically flips the middle finger off to the state of Tennessee and conservative people.
Well, another thing that's you and I've talked about off air is the fact that Justin Jones was just sworn in, I think, on Friday. He was sworn in on Friday. He's pulling in this political momentum, carrying this current with him. He is nothing more than an activist. If you look him up online, he shows up as an activist who's been elected to an office, and so now he's trying to bring activism into this seat that he has.
Now, is this the same guy that has 14 different criminal charges that has been filed against him?
Sure.
I mean, think about this, folks. This guy has 14 criminal charges against him, And we're not talking about for activism either, are we not?
Sure, sure.
I mean, there's other things that he has done that have been in his personal life.
Right. Oh, he's had violent robbery. He's been, I haven't got it right here in front of me, but he has been actually indicted on criminal robbery charges.
Really?
Oh, yes. He is a violent criminal. He has violent crimes in his history. He is not someone you would look forward to moving into your neighborhood.
That's right. Not in a small town, baby.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. But
I tell you what, Justin, if you're out here and you're listening, but you probably never would, I would love to have you try to arm rob me.
well, he's now going to be teaching a class at Fisk University, teaching a political science class or something to that degree. I don't know for sure what
and
it is,
and
but-
it's basically how to protest is what the class is about.
So-
I mean, I kind of looked over the syllabus of it,
Yeah.
and it's about to be activism.
Yes, sir, it is. I think you and I should start a class, Lawrence.
I think we should.
I think it'd be great.
I think we should go teach his class. Is what I think.
I think we should start a college.
You mean two guys that don't even have a college degree start
Yeah.
college?
Oh, wow, that'd be great. Wouldn't it?
Can we call it redneck college?
That's exactly what it would be. We'll teach you something. Here's how you build a fire.
Here's a small town college, everybody. We're gonna have the small town
Here's how
college.
you reload your deer rifle rounds when you finish. And honestly, they would call that college nowadays in survival skills. So, if those of you that maybe just tuning in, my name is Brandon Taylor. This is Lawrence Sutton across the table from me, and I know we've had a little bit of technical difficulty as we started the show off this evening. But thank you for joining us. We're talking about things that are going on at the state capitol, talking about things that's been happening with our governor, Governor Bill Lee, who, in my opinion, and I've been saying this, I say it in private, I'll say it in public, Bill Lee has gone rogue. He has gone off the course. He is not following the recommendation by the Republican Party. He is not following the recommendation made by legislators in the state. Everyone's uncomfortable with what he's doing. He's putting a lot of people in harm's way by creating this special session that's now opened up. They're on the floor now. We've been waiting to get more information back from these guys, but we have friends that have been there this morning, and we've been in contact with several of these folks.
And we have, and we're hoping that that Clay Doggett can, if he can get out. Clay Doggett told me that he would call in and kind of give us a heads up of what's going on right now. But Clay may not be able to get out in time.
Okay.
But he did say that he would call in if he could get out before 6 o'clock and kind of let us know what's going on. And that brings up another point. That I do want to discuss, and it's something I found out this weekend.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I found it out on Saturday, and what happened is that we have had legislators, and I've had it come from numerous legislators, not just one, but at least two, and I'm just going to leave it at that are being threatened by the leadership of the Republican Party, stating if they go in and they adjourn, that they do not want to be there, and if they don't want to be there, they are not going to have the ability to bring up any of their good legislation that they have put out there. Now, me and you both have said from the very beginning, really and truly, I don't think any legislation should be going through. Right now, currently, over a 3-day period of time, Brandon, we have over 100 bills that have been passed, or not passed, but have been filed.
Sure.
100 bills. You cannot go through 100 bills in a 3-day period of time. It is physically impossible.
Okay.
But yet we have 100 bills filed. To me, and I'll clean it up because we're on radar, we're just going to throw crap on the wall and see what sticks is what it tells me.
Well, sure. That's exactly what they're doing. What gets me, and I really want to talk about this while we're sitting here, and I didn't understand this process as much until we really started diving into the depth of politics. Okay?
Yes.
So it's not just what you see on the surface. And so many of the folks that are friends and family of ours and people that we associate with on a weekly and daily basis, they're like us. Maybe they don't really understand exactly what's going on. And it's not an insult to anyone's intelligence. It's just if you've never sat down and examined how these processes work. So what we're trying to tell people right now, and I just want to be clear, is there are legislators at the state capitol right now, and they've been told if you vote to adjourn, we're going to pull you off the committees.
Yes.
your committee you're on, and if you want to get something done, and it may not sound like much to some folks who maybe you're not very interested in politics, but if you're pulled off a committee, you really don't have a voice.
You don't, and that's a good point. Clay Doggett actually sits on a committee, and he's the head of a committee even. And if he votes to adjourn, they can pull him off of that committee if they want to, because they say, "Oh, you don't want to be here."
Also, another thing they will do, because all bills go through committee, if
Right.
you were to submit a bill and you want to try to get some legislation passed for your area, which for Clay would be part of Lawrence County at least,
Yes.
Giles County into that area, then what they would do, and I'm not saying it would be Clay, it could be Kip, it could be anybody, and it could be on the Senate as well.
That's right.
What they do is they'll hang that bill up in committee. And they won't give it a second vote. And so you can submit whatever you want. You could put out there that you want to give people free ice cream during the middle of summer, or you could put in there you want a tax cut. Whatever it is, and especially if it's something good for your area, they're not going to let it pass. And you might say, well, that's politics, and that's why I hate politics. Actually, if that's your tone, that's politics, and that's why you need to get involved with politics.
Absolutely, and just so everybody else knows, we didn't know this stuff if you asked us 3 months ago. I mean, this is stuff that we're learning on the fly here. I mean, the first time we ever went to a Republican meeting was May of last year.
We'll be teaching this in our college, though.
We will be teaching
I think
this.
we just, you know what? We already got a college here in Lawrence County.
Yeah.
We just need a classroom. We need a classroom, and we could put this stuff out. We could give people real information. I'm sorry I'm jumping around.
No.
But I got to have some fun while we're doing this.
Absolutely.
Because we've got liberals pulling their hair out right now. It's just a little bit funny to me.
Do you think they could actually listen to this program?
I would love to hold one down and just put the earphones on them.
You mean
They probably confess to crimes they didn't even commit. Just to
That's
get it
right.
off their ears.
That'd be kind of like holding down Rick and shaving him. Is what that would be
wow.
like.
Well, I'll tell you what. So what I'm thinking is, if like on a college scene that we could do, and I may be a little bit facetious, but I'm almost halfway willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I had two history majors, and I'm talking about 20-somethings, early 20-something-year-old, one male,
Right.
one female. Two, they don't know each other. I was in two different counties when I had the conversation. Not related, not affiliated at all. Didn't go to the same colleges. And I asked these two history majors, this has been within the last 2 months, I asked them, I said, so you have a history major. I said, who was the single most influential human that ever lived on the face of the earth? And neither one of the history majors could answer the question.
Of course they couldn't, because they're not taught this.
But in the same room, I had people who weren't even college graduates. One individual, even by his own admission, said, I barely graduated high school, but I know the answer to that.
Right.
He said it was Jesus Christ.
Absolutely.
So my reply to both of these, two different locations, two different times, over the past 2 months, I said, the question you need to be asking, you have a degree in history as a history major, and you don't know the answer to the question. I said, the question you need to be asking is why they didn't teach you this. Even if you're not a believer, Jesus Christ is the single most influential human ever walked on the face of the earth, no matter what.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
Undeniable.
So they don't even want to talk about this, because if they can ever get control of the narrative, the control of the narrative is what they want. We have a red state. We have a super conservative state. We have a super majority, but yet the media is controlled by a few talking heads. Is carrying this right now on national news stations. It'll make, by the end of this news cycle, by the end of the evening, it's going to be on CNN and BSNBC and the rest of these other news networks. And they're going to twist the angle. They're going to turn it just a little bit to where it's slanted against conservative, slanted against us as the bad guys, screaming at them being cowards. And they're going to promote this left agenda.
They always do. And I said this as a joke starting 20 years ago. I'd say CNN, Communist News Network. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now the Communist News Network.
Oh, there's no doubt.
And I love that. BS. I want to make sure everybody heard this properly. We're talking about NBC here, or NSNBC is BS. NBC. So I just want to make sure everybody heard that. I mean, that's brilliant.
That?
You did. You said the quiet part out loud, didn't you?
I did.
Shame on you.
I need to start making notes what we're going to teach in our class.
I think I just need to start patting your hand. You remember how you get in trouble, when you're a little kid and the teacher would come by with the ruler and just pop your hand? I need to have a ruler here and just pop your hand when you go off like
Lawrence,
that.
I was never one of those children, so I really don't know what you're talking about. So
Oh.
I'll have to take your word for it.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're telling me it just happened to me?
Well, I'll let you admit to whatever you need to.
I need to get it off my chest, don't it?
But I'm thankful for those that are willing to go up there tomorrow. We do have a group going to be meeting and going up there tomorrow to the state capitol. Talking with Jim Barth just a little while ago. He was the state director of Restore Liberty. And, if you haven't looked up restoreliberty.org, go to restore-liberty.org and check out the actual elected officials that they sponsor or they actually endorse on their website there. Check that out. But if you missed that because we were having some technical difficulties, Jim has been there at the state capitol most of the day. Actually, I've been talking to Jim on and off all
me
day
too.
today.
Right.
Started off a conversation early this morning. Actually had a quick prayer with him this morning before he was going to go because, I feel like these people who are going up there, we're really on a mission. This is an attack against your freedom. And once they tear down the freedom, the next thing they come after is your freedom of religion. This is one of the things that has to be taken away. All communist nations go after religion. In China, nothing can be higher than the Chinese symbol. You can't have a cross higher than that.
Right.
There's a limit on how high things can be out in public. And here we have crosses up on top of our churches and buildings and billboards. You would never have that in a communist nation. God is not going to be above the government.
That's right.
And so what we'll see and what we are seeing is the government rising above God in this country right now, trying to make that step forward. So anytime you're talking about freedoms, you're not just talking about one. If they can ever prove that one of your freedoms, the Second Amendment, your First Amendment, if they ever can really get rid of one of those, the rest of those will be on the chopping block as well.
Well, and it's not just one of those, it's the Second Amendment. I mean, let's face it, the Second Amendment for everybody, and I've even had people that had an R by their name, and the R by their name, it could stand for Republican, but I'm going to tell you where the R can also stand for. It can stand for reprobate, not even rhino at this point. It stands for reprobate. And I've had people tell me that, well, it's for the militia, and it's not for everybody to have guns.
Yeah.
And that's the furthest thing from the truth. As a matter of fact, when you read what the Founding Fathers actually said about the Second Amendment was made for tyranny from governments, foreign and domestic. So not just what we did with England, but our forefathers looked out ahead of time and said, if we ever have our government go rogue, that Second Amendment was to protect us from our own government. And let's face it, Brandon, I'm not saying our government's going to do this, okay? But we had over 200 million people in the 20th century alone. And everybody wants to think of Germany. Okay, Germany, there are 6 million people killed in Germany. But people don't talk about China and Russia, who killed 100 million or more. But in the 20th century alone, as soon as these rogue countries, as soon as these rogue dictators was able to remove guns away from people, and guess what, everybody? It started with gun registration, by the way.
That's exactly where it starts.
It starts with gun registration. As soon as they could do that, they took the guns, and if you disagreed with the government, they shot and killed you.
Yep.
With their own weapons they probably took from you. So if you're gonna think, it can't happen here, and you may be right.
This will be our history class in our new college.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be our history class.
History would be my talent. That's what I would love.
I mean, but I think both of us do, because both of us study the Bible. Both of us look at the Bible as being the most perfect book in history that has ever been written, because it's written by God himself, using 66 individual books written by I don't know how many different men, but infallible men even.
Sure.
Just like us.
That's it.
Just like us. So if infallible men, God used them to write the Bible, I think they can use infallible men to teach history class.
Well, I'll tell you, Lawrence, if it makes you feel any better, at one point in time in the Bible, it says that God actually used a donkey. So, I mean, there's hope for me and there's hope for you as well. So.
But I would never look at me and you as being a donkey.
I was waiting on that one. I was waiting on it.
I mean, I don't ever want to be in that symbol.
Did God ever use an elephant?
I'm not even sure.
Maybe we're the elephant in the room. I don't know.
We are the elephant in the room, but I'm not even sure I want to even use the elephant right now, the way our Republican Party is acting, especially leadership, especially our top leadership like Bill Lee and and working our way down.
I think part of our problem, and we do have a problem,
We do, absolutely.
but it is a solvable problem.
Absolutely it is.
I think part of the problem, though, is most people we elect, we go to vote, and we vote, and sometimes we hold our nose and vote. And we vote, and we hope that that person's going to go up there and carry our values, and maybe even locally, maybe even when they're at town hall, maybe wherever they are. And it could be not just here. This could be across the state of Tennessee, across the United States. They come in and they seem to represent your values. They have a good smile. They shake your hand. They got on good smelling cologne, whatever. I mean, they're wearing a good clean shirt, and we think, okay, we're going to pick this person. And it's a lot of times it's crazy how people select who they're going to vote for. It's when I started talking to people and finding out what they look for in a good candidate, I mean, just that they're very nice and polite.
Polite, and polished,
Yep.
and you know what, I've seen this too. Even it gets down to looks even a lot of times.
Oh, definitely.
Which would definitely count me and you out.
We're out. So
Yeah, that's the reason we're on radio,
that's
not
why
on
we're
TV.
on radio. The camera doesn't work half the time. I mean, it's just like, we're sparing the people.
Yeah.
But so I think as we move forward, one of the things that we want to be doing, you and I, and we've talked about this, and this is going to be something we're going to be doing. Let's get people involved. And if somebody's listening tonight, maybe you haven't been involved, maybe you hate politics. Okay, well, you hate politics, but do you love your freedoms? Do you love your ability to be able to go worship in freedom? Do you love your ability to have a firearm? Do you love your ability to speak in public freely? Because once this mental illness, and they are really pushing a mental illness agenda, and are there people who have mental health problems? Absolutely. Do we need help for them? Absolutely. But this special session with gun control tied in the middle of this is not about mental illness.
No, it's
You'll
not.
still be able, somebody labeled mentally ill will still be able to get in their vehicle, drive down the road, go to the gas station, buy 50 gallons of gasoline. They'll be able to go to the co-op and make things like pipe bombs. They'll be able to own a sword collection or knives. I mean,
Or baseball bats.
I mean, literally, baseball bats. I mean, so we could go down the list. I even used the analogy the other night because we were in a town hall meeting. And I said you could go to the hardware store and buy battery-powered nail guns. I mean, I own a battery-powered nail, and I hate to talk about this. It sounds morbid, but
Yeah.
I'm having to be forced into this conversation because people are literally saying this is about mental health when it's not. It's 100% gun laws and gun legislation, not mental health.
You made the point about the nail gun. Okay, I can drive a 4-inch nail straight through a 4x4 with a nail gun.
Sure.
Do you think that can't go through flesh easier?
I mean, people will find a way to make a weapon. If
They
they're looking
always have.
to hurt people.
They always
Right.
have.
And it's terrible to talk about these things, and we're not the ones trying to initiate the conversation on this. We're the ones trying to say, if you're going to bring the conversation to the table, because that's what we keep being told, Lawrence. Well,
Yeah.
can we not have the conversation? Okay, well, if you want the conversation, here's the conversation for you. If this were about mental health and keeping that person safe and keeping everyone else safe, you would be looking for anything that they could cause harm to themselves and any others.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. So when they're talking about the red flag laws in these different states, you have to understand, audience, that the red flag laws just goes in. This is a person that's supposed to be so dangerous that they can't own a firearm. They go and they take the firearms away, but then they leave the car there. They leave their gas canisters there. They leave everything else there that someone, if they meant to do damage. The greatest weapon that man has is not even a gun. As much as me and you love guns, the greatest weapon is the human mind.
Absolutely. And you know what gets me about this is if someone were to be in this situation, we're in that situation, here's what we would have to look at. I believe it would infuriate that person even more to come in and take part of their things from them. And I hate to have this conversation, but you're going to infuriate someone at that point. What does it do for their mental health at that point? We're not referring them into a mental health specialist. We're taking it then into due process at that point. So the police force or whoever's going to be administering this type of or executing this type of law enforcement, at that point, they would be forcing that person into a worse position, in my opinion. And another one that's a worse position is, and I know this is already happening. I know this is happening in some things that we do with volunteer work. We've been with VA hospitals, and I've been in some VA hospitals very recently. And you're going to have veterans that if they are threatened with their Second Amendment right being taken away because of PTSD, because of things they've experienced while serving their country, God bless them, then they are literally not going to go get medical help because they're going to be afraid of losing their Second Amendment right. This system, this entire setup of mental health, taking firearms, is doomed to fail.
Right, it is. It is. I mean, and even talking to our legislators, even Paige Wally came on here and he told us that there really is not anything, gun legislation, that is going to infringe upon our rights. The problem is, and this is the way I look at it, and I want to go back to this. And I'm going to do a Jen Psaki, what she said, Biden's past press secretary.
Spell it.
There's no way, dude. I'm freaking redneck.
I'm writing this down. I want to know Jen Psaki. You're going to be a college professor in a couple of months, so we need to know how to spell Jen Psaki.
Well, I tell you what, we'll leave my wife.
What kind
to
of
that.
energy drink is that? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
But anyway, she said, we're going to circle back. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to circle back to this aspect. 100+ bills. Why do we need 100+ bills to be looked at?
Okay, well, I'm going to answer part of that for you. Number one, they're going to throw a whole bunch of stuff against the wall and see what sticks. And then we said this the other night in a town hall. We were actually, I'm not afraid to say it, we were in Lewis County, you and I. We talked about this publicly at a town hall meeting in Lewis County. The thing about these type laws and how they've been effective in other states is they pass a law and it doesn't cover very much. It'll be maybe mild in nature, if you will.
Right.
And the net won't catch very many people in it.
Are you talking about a Trojan horse here?
Oh, well. So once this happens.
See, history, baby.
Uh-oh.
History.
There it is. Spell Trojan.
Trojan, I believe.
You did great. All right.
You want me to spell horse too?
No, I do not. I already know how to spell that. So here's the thing. They pass these laws and they're lightweight laws. And so we see that and we're like, oh, well, that's no big deal. That's never going to affect me. But 5 years, 3 years, 2 years later, they come back and they're like, well, we've got this law and we still haven't seen a lot of results from this law. And overnight, and I hate to say it, it's kind of the way it takes place.
It is.
It's during a regular general session. They put this stuff and they sneak it in and they take a law that's already in place and then they take it up a notch and they make it more stringent. They make the rules a little more strict. And it incrementally starts working in on your freedoms. We can never give up on our freedoms. If we give up an inch, we will never get that inch back.
No.
It will not come back.
No.
So it's all incremental on how this type of thing it comes about. And we talked about this in that town hall in Lewis County on let's see, last Monday.
Yeah, it was. And and here's the other thing. We went to that town hall. And the main reason that we went to the town hall is because we wanted to go there and we wanted to talk to the representative that was there based upon past decisions that he had made that we were not happy with, actually. And I'm going to tell you, this is where dialogue is so important to come into play.
Amen.
Because I went there, I talked with him, and I was mad. And I was mad. I mean, I chewed on him for an hour. But I'm going to tell you, I came away with new respect for that man. I understood his thought process. Now, I told him at the end of the day, I still disagree with you on it. But you know what? I had a newfound respect for him because he was willing to look at me in the eye and tell me why he made the decisions that he did.
Right.
He also said that if he could look at it and go back and do it over again, he would try to do things differently. But even then, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to speak up for him real quick on this. He told me the reason why, and here's what we're doing. We're talking about the three. The Tennessee three. It was his vote.
Democrat heroes.
The Democrat heroes. It was his deciding vote, him and a couple others, that got Gloria Johnson off.
Yep.
But here's what leadership did. And this guy's an attorney. His name's Jody Barrett. This guy went to leadership and said, look, we are charging her the same as we're doing the other two that had the bullhorn, that had that pounded on the desk, that tried to incite violence inside of the Capitol. And we are charging her the same thing when she never pounded on the desk and she never even took hold of the microphone. And he says, I have no doubt that she was the ringleader to this. But he says, I could not vote her guilty based upon these charges. And he says, and I went to leadership and begged them to change her charges and make it different, and they would not.
So the charges, and be clear, the charges were all the same. They just did a cut and paste on each name.
And that's exactly what he said.
He did not like the cut and paste on that.
He did not like the cut and paste. And I understand that. I understand that now.
I agree. And I learned a lot there.
Yes.
Okay? And there's a lot at work behind this. And what we're seeing at work in Tennessee is literally, and you may disagree with me, Lawrence, I don't know. We're kind of doing this off the cuff tonight. But we're seeing the works of a political machine at work in Tennessee.
We are, and I'm going to tell you something. I got to go with this. My sister, who lives in Washington State, who most people would consider a liberal, okay? She just texts me, and she asked me to please talk about the unconstitutional Washington State gun bans. This is my sister.
Sure.
I love her dearly.
Absolutely.
Okay, but we have totally different opposite views
right.
when it comes to politics. But I'm going to tell you something. The more me and her talk, the more that we're finding common ground because we're talking.
Absolutely.
Okay, about these things. But she just texted me just now. She's listening to our program right now in Washington State, and she says about the unconstitutional Washington State gun bans. And you know what? It starts very, very finite.
It does.
And then before you know it, now they can't have any guns with more than 10 rounds in a gun. They can't have an AR-15. All these things that have been taken away from them, and she can no longer even get these types of weapons anymore.
And isn't it strange, and I'm going to throw this in here, thanks to your sister, is it Christy? Is her
Christy,
name?
yes.
Christy?
Love Christy.
Hey, we're glad
love
you're
you,
listening.
honey.
But all the way from Washington State, if we had everyone between here and Washington State listening, it'd be great. I think Christy may sign up for your college class, by the way. I don't know.
No. I'm going to tell you something. My sister is the smartest person that I know. I'm just going to tell you that politics aside, she is IQ-wise probably the smartest person I've ever been in a room with.
I know how she feels.
So now Clay Doggett
I'm kidding, Christy.
Yeah, Clay Doggett just said, just finished. Clay, give us a call if you can. We only got about 5 minutes. We're going to have to cut off early. Call immediately, buddy. We want to hear what you have to say.
So I want to finish this thought. You know, the thing that's going on with Washington State, and I'm sure Christy could talk about this more in depth, but when you see the gun laws, isn't it weird how you see the gun laws and you also see laws discussing illegal substances, drugs, abused drugs, different things. It all seems to run in a parallel how they're doing this. And so Washington State is just in a mess with the things that are going on in their state. I mean, not just with the gun laws, but they've really got a mess going out there. But I'll tell you this, Christy, you're listening, and I'm starting to see it. You're up against a political machine out there as well. And the political machines are geared not for the good of the people.
Right.
They want you to think. The fuel that they receive is from people believing it's for their good, and that powers them on.
Oh, she knows that. Believe me, she's no dummy. She just thinks more to the liberal side than the conservative side.
Gotcha.
But no, she knows. I mean, we know how our government has turned against us.
Yeah,
we both realize that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we got Jerry Geho texting me here. Jerry, I think we can make you our principal at our college. Could be out there and be part of that as well.
He'd fire me.
No, he wouldn't fire me. We're going to give him an unpaid position. You got no power. You just got a title, Jerry. You know, we love you. So if Clay could call us, that'd be great. I know he's probably on the move right now trying to get out of that.
Yeah.
There's probably a mess. I would love to hear exactly what happened. And I'm glad folks have tuned in and they're actually listening out there. I'm getting some text messages as we're talking, and folks are listening to us as well. But I think what we're going to see, and what I'm hoping we're going to see throughout this special session with people standing up, is the thing that was meant for our bad, the thing that was meant to do us harm in this state. We're going to push, Lawrence, and it's going to turn and it's going to work in our favor.
It absolutely is, because he that is with us, who can be against us?
Tomorrow morning, I didn't think it would happen. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. That's not true, but it was amazing that it happened. It's a God thing. I'm going to be leading the prayer on the Senate floor first thing in the morning.
Right.
So those that are believers, I'm going to give you a prayer request. Pray for me, because I think it's important that we set the foundation, set the tone for the meeting tomorrow, what's going to be said, what's going to be done. Let's do it in the name of Jesus. And if you're out there and you're a believer and you're listening to us, I'm giving you a prayer request. Pray for me, that God's going to use us. Pray for Lawrence. We're going to be in these places tomorrow. We're going to be in a Cordell Hall building. We're actually going to try to get into the gallery. Hopefully, we're going to have 300 people show up. Let's get as Tennessee citizens sitting in those seats, and not just people bust in from other states taking the place of the Tennessee citizens where they should be. So,
and absolutely, and I would definitely say, we're riding up together. I mean, here we go, buddy. I mean, we're going there together. We're going there to be strong. But yeah, definitely pray for me too, because I definitely need it, because I'm putting myself out there where I have in the past have always tried to avoid trouble, not because I'm scared of it. Mm-hmm. It's because I'm scared of what I can do if trouble comes my way.
And the special session will start at 8:30 in the morning. We're going out on the floor.
Yes.
And so we're going to be out there. We will be live streaming back to the Facebook page here at the radio station.
Yes.
So be listening and be watching on Facebook. We'll try to put some posts up there. I don't know what we're going to see. People have tried to ask me things.
We have no idea, because we have no idea what we're walking into.
We don't know. The legislators don't know.
Oh, the legislators don't know, but I'll tell you what, I'll be hunting the good old Tennessee 3. I'm going to see if we can get them on air. Wouldn't that be great if we can get those idiots on air?
We're not going to be hunting them, okay, folks? Let me clarify.
Oh, okay.
We will look to see if we can get an interview with Justin Jones. I just think Lawrence wants his picture taken with him. If that's how you want, let's try to make that happen. So,
that was wrong.
Well,
that was wrong in so many ways. That was wrong.
If he has his way, he'll be governor of the state of Tennessee one day.
And that guy
I'm not kidding.
I know you're not kidding.
Go look him up. Go look at what his goals are.
I know exactly what his goals are.
He is being fueled with money from all over the United States right now. I mean, the old saying in my family was, he's got more money than Elvis.
That's right.
So they are throwing money at this guy. He will be, all he has to do is put his picture on that. He's already been modeling clothing. I mean, there is a lot that's happening right now in his world to propel him forward in the state of Tennessee. And you know what I say? You know what? I wish you well, Mr. Jones, but you're not going to be my governor.
No, absolutely not. And I tell you what's funny, and Jody Barrett, the representative that voted to stay, Gloria Johnson, he made this comment, and it was funny. He said the other two that they kicked out, they have raised over $800,000. During this time after they got kicked out.
Sure.
Gloria Johnson has raised $29,000. So Jody looked at me and he says, look, say what you want, but I cost Gloria Johnson $800,000.
Yeah, but when you look at it, they had to be probably thinking they were donating to Justin Jones, and just accidentally the money went to her. I mean, who would give money to her ever? For her to step out and say the things that she has.
I know.
It is ridiculous.
But again, I can see, a legislator, raising $29,000, during that time. But these other two have raised over $800,000.
Yep.
So, I thought that was funny.
And that's in a short amount of time.
Yes, sir.
I mean,
we're talking since March 30th.
We are going to be dealing with these two for years to come. Anybody that thinks this is just something we're going to walk away from this in the next few days, dust our hands and walk away, no. If they're successful with this legislation, these are activists now who are holding offices. These are not just somebody that's at your local community that decided they're going to run for office that you grew up with. These are absolutely political activists. They're holding office. They are not going away anytime soon in the state of Tennessee, and they have the right to their opinion. But their opinion is not good for our freedoms.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Everybody has a right to their opinion, but they do not have the right to their own facts.
I agree.
And that's where the problem lies, is because these people take lies, and they're liars. And and their father is the father of lies. Mm-hmm. And they try to twist these things and make them facts.
That's exactly right.
And that is what Satan does. That's what Satan is good at, is he even can take the truth and twist it into a lie. And that's what these people do the best.
That's right.
And I have no respect for them at all, period, end of story.
So I want to say this, but I know we're almost done. It's the fastest moving hour. We get in here, it's like, I can't believe how fast it flies by. But if there is any legislation put forth, every piece of law, legislation that goes forth out of any state capital should be to protect the rights of the citizens, not remove the rights of the citizens. So let me say this. If we do have a problem with gun violence in schools, then we need to step our laws up to how we make our schools safer.
Real easy.
Removing
No
the
gun-free
guns.
zones.
Or more safe, I should say, bad
Yeah.
grammar. But the gun-free zones.
I thought you want to be a college professor.
I am going to be a college professor one day. I've got
Not
my
in
mind
English.
made up.
Not in English.
Well, listen, in Tennessee, you don't have to get it perfect the first time. You can be corrected by a Yankee. So here, let's move on.
Did you just call me a Yankee?
I'm sorry, that was an accident.
Oh, no. Do I have to remind you that Florida is more southern than Tennessee?
Well, I can't tell it by talking to you guys. But anyway, we love you anyhow. We're glad you're here, you gatorhead. You gator tail.
But real quick, WDXE.
Yes.
We're going to be live on Facebook Live. Hey, stay there. You never can tell what's going to happen.
No.
I mean, you put me in the state capitol with the camera. Oh, Lord, that's dangerous. I mean, that's dangerous.
I bet even Christy, your sister's going to be watching.
Oh, I'm going to tell you right now. I mean, that's like putting me in a buffet and I haven't ate for a couple of days. I mean, there's going to be some danger happening there, buddy.
It won't be dangerous. What it will be is it'll be fun, and we're going to get to meet people, and we're looking forward. If you do come, no, don't bring any weapons. Don't bring anything like that. No knives. Don't bring your pocket knife, even a belt buckle. If it's a heavy belt buckle, we're already hearing that sometimes that catches you as you're trying to walk in. So just keep in mind what you're wearing as you go in the state capitol there.
Well, how am I going to hold up my pants?
Well, with one hand, I guess. So there you go.
Well, there we go. Well, it looks like we're almost done. We got 15 seconds. So
Take
again,
us outta
everybody, WDXE, thank you so much for everything that you do to provide for us and provide for the citizens of this county.
Amen.
And getting the right and proper information. Look for us on Facebook tomorrow, everybody. Love you. God bless. Be praying for us.
On the Roku channel, this Rich Eisen Show terrestrial radio affiliate, Sirius